Yo, what's good everybody? It's Fright Delight. Let's talk about the Return of the Living Dead Part 2, made in 1988. This was when movies like Child's Play, Halloween 4, and Moonwalker were made. Yes, I'm including Moonwalker in this list. I love Michael Jackson. The movie's about a group of survivors attempting to endure the night as the dead are yet again resurrected by the 2,4,5 trioxin gas. Now, from what I understand, the general reception of the film is that almost everyone that likes this movie agrees that while this is not as good as the first, it still has the same campy tone that people loved from the first film. And the people that don't necessarily like this movie don't like it because the movie tries nothing new and the comedy is turned all the way up to a 10, which turned a lot of people that liked the first movie off from this one. Also, Tom Matthews and James Karen came back to reprise their roles to be an exact carbon copy of who they were, even though they died in part 1, which caused some confusion in the sequel. Now, do I love the amped up comedy and the returning actors' reportrayal of their characters from the last film, or do I fall into the camp that's disappointed with the movie going with almost a kid-friendly approach to this film while being the exact carbon copy of the original? Well, you'll find out as I recap the movie, give my thoughts and opinions in between, then end it off with a tier list. Now let's stop playing and get to it. The movie starts out with barrels of the 2,4,5 trioxin being transferred to another army facility by this soldier smoking some of that silly cilantro. He's so high he doesn't notice the barrels falling over into the lake behind him. So the first movie explains things, and this one shows what happened.
What typical army fuck up.
We cut to a neighborhood that's still under construction. This is when we meet one of our main characters, Jesse. He gets ready to reluctantly give a Spider-Man comic to these Disney bullies. Their names are Billy and Johnny. They call him a chicken like Marty McFly to get him to come to the clubhouse, which is really just a building in a cemetery. Jesse starts to have cold feet, but the bullies try to hold him and force Duke to go inside. What Johnny doesn't know is that Jesse is a master of the foot foo as he gets his foot stomped on. Jesse slides out of there as the bullies chase him into the storm drain. His dumb ass peeks up and gets caught faster than chlamydia on a cruise. Just as he's about to get beat up, the bullies stop to investigate the barrel with the shiny bright light. It's of course the barrel of trioxin gas. Jesse makes a great suggestion but gets shot down by some of the Disney dialogue.
I don't think you should play around with that.
Shut up, Whip.
He opens the top of the barrel showing a dead body that scares them all away. Well, this gives the bully the opportunity to chase Jesse and throw him into that cemetery building. Right after that, a van pulls up to the cemetery with 3 of our other main characters. You got Ed, Joey, and Brenda. Brenda's concerned, making sure Jason really wants to work this job. He tells her, shit, this job pays me handsomely on a nightly basis. I'm gonna need every penny, baby. So he gives her a kiss before he goes to work, but I wouldn't really call it a job since what he does is rob dead people for their skulls and sells them to what I'm guessing is the black market based on some of the dialogue.
What do you do with them?
Oh, there are all sorts of crazies out there. They want the skulls from interred bodies.
As they're walking through the cemetery, we catch back up with Jesse trying to climb out of the building. Actually, if anybody can tell me what a building that holds corpses in the cemetery is called, I'll give you a hug because I'm struggling here. Anyways, as he climbs, the casket underneath him collapses and causes him to fall side by side with the corpse inside. It's not alive yet, so he doesn't have to worry. But what he does have to worry about is getting caught by the grave diggers Ed and Joey. He dips out of there with the quickness getting back home where we meet his sister Lucy. While she gets on him about chores, the 2 blockhead bullies revisit the barrel, beat booping butt. The 2 blockhead bullies revisit the barrel, beat booping butt. Alliteration is the word of the day. The 2 bullies unleash the trioxin gas onto themselves and into the air right over the cemetery. They skedaddle back home coughing and wheezing when later that night, the gas also gets to where Ed and Joey are too. Ed tells Joey it's swamp gas while cutting off the head of this corpse that looks like the average crackhead at your local BP. Ed swipes her wedding ring too, but Joey isn't down with stealing jewelry, which is hypocritical when you're down with stealing heads from dead people. Ed lures Joey in, tossing him a bracelet that his girlfriend would love. As that's going down, Jesse gets the bright idea after reading the comic book to go back to the storm drain. But before he's able to slide there, he gets a knock at the door, causing his sister to come downstairs. He hides in the closet while Lucy answers the door. It's another one of our protagonists, Tom, the cable technician. Not much goes on, so I'll fast forward to where Jesse sneaks out and goes to Billy's room to talk to him about the barrel. He sees Billy in bad condition, asking if he's opened it. Billy threatens him and tells him not to tell anyone. Jesse dips out of there, getting to the storm drain to write the number on the barrel down. As he finishes, he looks up and gets spooked by the new Tarman zombie with a knot twitch. He doesn't get chased for too long as he outsmarts the zombie and pushes him off the ledge. He starts to run back home, but tripping and stumbling over himself, he rests on a tombstone out of exhaustion. He doesn't stay for too long. He slides out of there when he sees a hand come out of the ground. This is when we get a montage of all the corpses rising from their graves. And before I continue, I want to say if you've ever watched this movie that there are 2 versions with 2 different soundtracks, at least that I know of. To me, the theatrical release is not the best choice of music for this movie. I'll play both versions just so you know what I'm talking about. second one sounds more electrifying and fun, and the theatrical release just hit my ear the wrong way, and that's probably because I grew up watching the second movie. Anyways, Jesse gets back to the house taking a shower, then ducking and dodging his sister in order to use the phone. While that's happening, Brenda gets out of the van after spending the entire time there, I'm guessing. She's looking for Joey but runs into the undead not long after. She punches a zombie right through the face, then rushes off. At the same time, Joey saves Ed from dying and choking on the apple before he has a chance to try and survive the night. They're both beyond shocked that the dead are rising from the grave, so they dip out of there and run into Brenda. They snag her too before escaping the cemetery. I think they could have made a way to get back to the van, but that's not important. On their way through the neighborhood, Ed trips over some trash and cries out like I do, and my girl leaves me by myself at Walmart.
No, don't leave me, please!
This house happens to be Billy's as his mom and dad pop out with that stick on them. The group warns him about the dead before running away screaming. We catch back up with Jesse, who finally made his way to his sister's room to get to the phone. He gets in touch with the army, but it's too late as the graveyard group steals Tom's cable car, then hits a random zombie on the road, and then hits the cable box outside, killing the connection. As bad as that was, I don't think it was worse than Lori crashing the car in season 2 of The Walking Dead. The graveyard group gets out of the van to check on the body. Even Bill's dad comes outside too, but doesn't last long and gets his brain eaten. It's like he didn't even try to fight back. It doesn't matter anyway, it just gives more time for the graveyard group to run, following Tom back to Jesse's crib. They all rush inside and get into a frenzy about dead people walking, creating an over-the-top atmosphere until Joey starts to feel lightheaded, stumble back, and need a moment. But that moment might have to wait because now the head in the bag is alive, and for some reason, Ed takes it out and lets it bite him. He throws it towards the table, then Tom gets rid of it by throwing it into the closet. Jesse snuck off earlier, almost getting devoured by a zombie, but gets saved by his sister and Tom just in time. The zombie won't let up, so they put furniture on the door and discuss a plan. Options are low as they have to go to the neighbor's house to use his car, but before they get there, Tom stays back for what reason? I don't know. All this scene showed me is that even a zombie man can't resist the nice, tight, oily body when he sees one. Shit, even the women are just as bad taking the peek too. As Tom uses that time to get out of there, the rest of the crew still making their way to Doc Mandel's house. This leads to one of the funniest scenes in the film to me. I'll have to show you because some things are better understood than explained. I feel like I'm the only person that gets a laugh out of this whole interaction. Nobody is laughing though, as Tom and the entire crew make it to Doc Mandel's house. He opens the door and is reluctant to let anyone in the car, let alone drive it. All it takes is a bit of threatening to get the keys. They all get in the car and drive through the garage door to make their escape. Wait a minute, is that a Plymouth Fury? Christine, is that you? This just reminded me that in the next few weeks, I'm doing the weird John Carpenter Devil feature talking about 2 movies. One is, of course, Christine, and the second is Ghost of Mars. This amount of John Carpenter camp isn't something you see every day. But I'll talk more about this another time because what I need to talk about is what happened a bit after Jesse left Billy's house. Billy began to shake and make his mother worried, so she attempted to call the ambulance, but there's no service. So after calling her husband, she rushes downstairs only to find him dead. She runs back inside to see Billy standing up looking dead as hell, but rushes up to hug him. Billy eats his own mother's brains before making his way to the crowd of zombies in time to see Jesse and the crew escape. As they drive off, Ed has a case of the motion sickness and has to open up the window to throw up. As soon as he does, a zombie that was chilling on the roof of the car gets a hold of him with a firm grip. They roll the window back up, cutting his hand off in the process, leading to this over-the-top scene that makes me grin almost every time. And if I'm not tripping, this is the movie that stock scream came from. Right after they get the undead hand out the car, Brenda mentions to the crew that they need to go to the hospital to help Joey and Ed. Mostly Joey though. Joey even has deja vu, saying that he feels like they've been here before in this exact situation. The crew makes it to the hospital, pulling up to the emergency room, but it's empty. Fortunately, Doc Mandel is an actual doctor, and he's able to properly diagnose Ed and Joey. He says something I never want to hear a doctor say if I'm ever in the hospital.
Is it cancer?
If we're lucky.
While Doc is busy breaking the bad news, the other 3 crew members, Lucy, Jesse, and Tom, drive to the police station. It ends up being locked and abandoned just like the rest of the town. Lucy's dumbass thinks that the group of the undead are regular people and scream out for help. This movie is all over the place with bad decisions, but I guess I'll roll with it for now. They get back in the car and have trouble starting it in time, allowing the zombies to catch up and press their face on the side of the window. They're finally able to speed off, making their way to their grandpa's house to stock up on weapons. It makes no sense why they didn't grab all the guns. Like, why even play with your life life like that. Well, this is the same girl that called for help, yelling towards some people that were clearly zombies. So anything is possible with her character and the rest of the characters in this movie. Anyways, Jesse slides the gun under his shirt, and not long after they make it back to the hospital, he goes on his own to try to find a working phone to call the army. As he's looking through the equipment, a stray zombie walks towards him and bursts through the window. Jesse blasts him back with the gun he took earlier, alerting everyone in the room below. The kickback was too much for Jesse as the gun drops out his hands and slides under the table to an impossible to reach location. Jesse rushes to the elevator, but it's not on his level yet, getting cornered by the undead. As soon as he's about to get caught up, Lucy and Tom burst through the elevator door and blows the zombie's upper body off. The gunshot didn't matter as we see the zombie getting up again and again. It even tries to choke him out, but Jesse uses his quick thinking to get out of the situation, putting the zombie in his place by spraying what I'm assuming is very hot gas. If I'm wrong, let me know what that is in the comments below, please. While they're on their way back down the elevator, Ed knocks Doc Mandel out, then him, Brandon, and Joey steal the car for a second time, leaving the rest of the group at the hospital. Brenda's looking for a real doctor since Doc Mandel can't help him, but ends up coming across this army group. She asks for their help, but they're unwilling and are about to dip on her. That's when Ed gets a nasty taste for brains and bites one of the soldiers' heads like a sloppy Joe. The rest of the soldiers unload on him, then drive off quick, leaving Brenda there to fend for herself. Brenda's like, shit, I'm not on my own. He's on his own, and drives off on Ed. One of the things I like about Ed's character in both movies is he somewhat has a sense of his humanity. In the last one, he gave himself an honorable death, and in this one, he didn't have that option, but he reaches out for Brenda in a take me with you type of way. Honestly, I think if he still rolled with Brenda, he wouldn't attack her, but everyone else around him is in trouble. Back with the hospital group, they ride through the town, riding past an animal store, probably a Petco or something, and sees a dog getting chased. Tom decides he's had enough and rams the zombie into an electric sign, electrocuting the dead for a pretty long time and actually killing him once and for all. The group gets an idea to use cow brains they got from the meat packaging warehouse to lead the undead to a power plant. When they get to the warehouse, Lucy tells Jesse to stay back and shout if he sees anything weird going on. But as soon as they dip inside, Jesse pulls a Carl Grimes and wanders away like zombies don't exist. Not long after, he gets chased by a group of driving zombies. He gets followed for a while, becoming out of breath and actually gives up. But behind the bright lights is actually Tom. He's like the unsung hero in this movie. He saved everyone at least once. Even Jesse starts to respect him and follow his lead at this point. As the crew leads the zombies to the power plant, Joey finally succumbs to the toxin gas and tries to eat Brenda's brains. She jumps out the car and runs away to a chapel down the street. She even pulls the zombie's jaw off in the process. She gets into the chapel and barely puts up a fight. Brenda even gets the confidence to allow Joey to eat her brains after smooth talking her a bit. I don't know where Joey/Freddy finds these women at, but the first girlfriend stayed with him until he finally turned, and the second will let him eat her brains with barely any pushback. Hey fellas, check your woman's loyalty by asking if she will let you eat her brains as a zombie. If she says yes, you're good. But if she says no, that means another zombie would do it. You just can't have that. Anyways, the final four make their way to the power plant, closing the gate behind them. Tom turns the power on, then makes a trap for the zombies to get electrocuted. As that's happening, zombie Billy actually climbs the gate and opens it, letting all the zombies inside before the final four can set the plan in motion. Jesse, Lucy, and Tom rush to the back of the van, trapping themselves inside until they can come up with a new plan. Doc Mandel is still inside the plant, not trying to pick up the bottle, while waiting on the group below, not knowing that the place has become overrun. Tom tells Jesse to climb out the hole in front of the box truck to make his way to the driver's seat. Luckily, Jesse's smarter than most when it comes to following directions on driving a stick shift. As the van gets moving, Jesse wastes no time running Billy's bitch ass over. It doesn't look like it did that much damage as he chases Jesse into the plant and catches him, but Jesse's tenacity is too much for him and gets stabbed in the mouth with the screwdriver and pushed over the edge. It isn't over yet because as soon as Jesse turns the power on, electrocuting all the zombies outside, Billy comes back for some more, catching Jesse off guard and almost killing him. But my homie Doc Mandel came through for one last time, like Trunks did Broly in The Second Coming. This allows Jesse to blast him back with his foot and push him into the electric pole, burning him to a crisp as he's electrocuted. That also happens to all the zombies outside and makes one of the zombies bust a move like Michael Jackson before they all collapse and die again. As the night ends, this weak-ass army platoon shows up last minute like they didn't just shoot at our characters that same night.
Hey, wait! You don't understand!
I would have had some choice words for these mofos, but since I'm feeling good after surviving this hellish night and killing my bully zombie alongside a horde of the undead, I'll let it slide for now. The movie ends as the final four walk through the bodies, making their way to get a bite to eat happily ever after. Alright homies, that was the end of the Return of the Living Dead Part 2, a cheesy over-the-top film that could have honestly used some of what the first film had, which is what I like to call gravity, meaning nothing on this film really weighed on me. Starting with some of the positives though, just like with the first film, I really enjoyed James Karen and Tom Matthews in their reprised roles. People love to talk about the Scream Queens, but not enough about the Scream Kings and who they are. But honestly, I think we all know who they are. Another thing that I enjoyed in this film was the over-the-top comedy in this movie. While not all of it landed, most of the unspoken things really got me to chuckle a bit, especially that hallway zombie and Michael Jackson zombie. The soundtrack of the DVD version was awesome in my opinion, and most of the characters outside of Joey and Ed worked for me. Everyone had charisma in their own right, which allowed me to be more willing to go along for the ride with this group, as opposed to part 3, which I'll talk about next week. This leads me to a few negatives that I have towards the film. While I liked most of the characters, Billy the Bully didn't do much for me. His storyline fell flat and didn't really need to be included in the movie. Even his homie got dropped from the movie off screen right after he got infected. So if he could have, Billy could have too, and the movie would have still been the same. Another thing I wasn't really feeling like that was none of this movie was serious at all. Even though a lot of the over-the-top humor really worked for me, having too much of it really derailed the movie from having any sort of stakes, which made this movie fall short of having any exciting or tension-filled scenes, at least to me. And one thing I wish they would have changed is actually letting Tom Matthews and James Karen live in this one to see how they would turn out instead of bringing them back just to kill them off again. And one thing I do want to mention that's not really a positive or really a negative is the amount of screaming that there is in the movie. If you're a person that can hear that even when the scene doesn't call for a scream, this is a movie that you're gonna hear screaming throughout the entire runtime almost. I feel like this movie would have got extra points in my opinion by just doing something different, but not part 3 different. God no. Anyways, with all that being said, I think I can sleep at night knowing I put this one in a good time with alcohol category. Now, where would I rank in A Night of Survival with the final 4 survivors? Tom, Lucy, Jesse, and Doc Mandel? Well, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think I get carried to survival. With these goofy ass zombies, I don't think I die on my own, especially with a group. The closest I come to dying is watching Tom and Lucy lock lips in front of me while we're trapped in the back of the truck. But other than that, I think we're good. So those are my thoughts on the Return of the Living Dead Part 2, an almost kid-friendly approach to the zombie genre with some enjoying qualities. If you're a person that loves the first movie and you don't mind when there's no plot, just characters reacting to anything the story throws their way, then I think you can enjoy this film, especially with some vodka in your stomach. Also, if you're a person that doesn't resonate with horror and comedy, especially if the comedies turn all the way up, then stay far away from this thing, because the only thing you enjoy about this movie is the fucking poster. Well, homies, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for making it this far. Let me know what you thought of the Return of the Living Dead Part 2 in the comments below, even if you disagree with me. And if you enjoyed this video and have any movies that you want me to cover in the future, put that in the comments below too. Please like and subscribe to see more reviews like this one, and I appreciate y'all coming to a Fright Delight. I'll catch y'all later. Peace. Hold on, before I go, there's a double upload coming. You guys are getting what you all been waiting for, and that's the Dead Alive series, either coming today or coming tomorrow. I can't tell y'all when, but it's gonna be one of these 2 days. If you see it today, then disregard what I just said. But if you don't, it's gonna come the next day. So I appreciate y'all, homies. Peace.